I'm Kurt Widmer.
And I'm Rob Widmer. Welcome to Widmer Brothers Brewing Company.
I always liked beer, and when I lived in Germany, it's so much a part of the culture, and there's so many delicious beers that are available there. I was like a kid in a candy shop, and so I guess what I learned is I learned a greater appreciation for beer. That manifested itself when I came back. After a few years of being back stateside, I began home brewing to see if I could replicate some of those beers that I'd grown to enjoy in Germany.
We both started home brewing about the same time. Our uncle was a home brewer, and he's the one who kind of inspired me to get going. But it was a little bit of coincidence because we certainly weren't living under the same roof. We started same hobby about the same time.
So Portland is home to over 50 microbrews and brew pubs.
Yes.
What do you think makes Portland such a great place to start up a business if you want to start brewing beer?
First of all, I think the most important thing is we have an interested group of beer drinkers here. They are always willing and in fact hunting out what's new and what's interesting. And so in some parts of the U.S., they don't have that audience, you know. And so we have the wonderful advantage in that we've got people out there that are always looking for something new and interesting.
I think it has to do with kind of quality of life, that people who live here are really interested in the environment that they live in, the food that they eat, everything that they drink, everything that they do. People want quality, and so they seek it out. And Portlanders really love things from Portland.
Lonely Planet did a survey of I think it was 5,000 of their members, and one of the questions was, what are the 6 best beer cities in the world? And the only city in the Western Hemisphere was Portland, Oregon.
Beer.
The process of making beer is pretty simple. You take malted barley and you soak it in warm water. You make kind of a tea. You take the tea, boil it with hops, cool it, add yeast, and in 48 hours you've got an alcoholic beverage. And the first miracle of brewing takes place in this tank, and that's that there are enzymes that are naturally present in the malted barley, and in this warm, wet environment, the enzymes convert starch to sugar.
All right, so we have weighing, milling, mashing, and
Lautering.
lautering.
And this is the most complex tank, but this acts like a coffee filter.
Okay.
So you've got you've got grounds and water. You dump it in, and the liquid flows through the coffee.
Yep.
Well, in this case, all the mash comes out of the mash mixer, and liquid flows through, and it's the liquid that we're after, kind of the sweet grain tea.
This is 25 times larger than when we started.
Okay.
Our first brewery was just kind of a large version of what we were doing at home. So at home it was 5 gallons, and then our first brewery it was 310 gallons, and now it's
200 gallons?
Yeah, 250 barrels, 250 times 31.
Times 31, so that's at 7,000, 8,000 gallons.
A lot of beer.
So yeah. Okay, so the wort is pumped into the kettle, and this is where it's boiled.
Okay.
And the key thing here is that this is where hops are added. And in the boil, the oils and the aromas and flavors are extracted from the hops. And the hops give a nice counterpoint to the sweet, grainy flavors.
Some hops are bred for bitterness, and some hops are bred for aromatics. And within the field of aromatics, then there's herbal and earthy and spicy, and more recently, kind of citrusy, grapefruity, tangerine are profiles that some hops that we've used lately. So, what we particularly like about the latest hybrids of hops are that they're incredibly aromatic without being overpoweringly bitter.
Who created the recipes for your magnificent beers?
Oh, they've come from all sorts. Some of them are from Kurt's home brewing days.
The Hefeweizen and Rob and I created together a long time ago. A long time ago. But we have now, gosh, with all our brewers, I think we've got pretty close to 20 brewers, and they individually and collectively come up with recipes. And we're fortunate enough to have a little brewery there at the Rose Garden. So we don't have to fire up this monster. We can do test batches at the Rose Garden, and then fine tune it there, and then this is what kind of the final happens. So basically, we've converted starch to sugar. As Rob said, the enzymes that are naturally in the grain convert the starch to sugar. We've extracted the sugar, boiled it, and then put it in here. And then yeast does the really hard work. It eats all the sugar and converts that to carbon dioxide and alcohol. So it's a process that's magical.
The most famous yeast that we use, though, is the one that we use in Widmer Hefeweizen.
Right.
And it makes the beer cloudy, and it tastes great. Brewers make wort, yeast make beer.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
good. That's good.
So-
That's
Okay. So they get more vacation time.
good. God, you know
No
what?
vacation,
That's
zero
another good
pay.
thing about that. We don't pay them,
Yeah.
and they work like
No
dogs.
wonder you're so
Awesome.
successful.
They work like dogs. We beat them daily, and they come back for more.
So this is the room where we fill bottles, and what we're doing in here is really that simple. We're putting beer in a bottle and putting a cap on it. But to do it properly, it takes all of this equipment. The bottles that we're using actually come in, we call it the mother carton. It's the actual case. They're taken out of the case, filled, and then put back in the case they came in, and then they're conveyed down into the basement where they're stored until quality assurance says thumbs up, and then they go out to stores and bars.
So a bottle gets pre-rinsed, and then they go in, and the bottle is pre-evacuated twice with carbon dioxide to remove any air. And the filler tube goes to the bottom of the bottle and fills the beer quietly. Head lifts off, and there's a needle-fine jet of superheated water that hits the top of the beer in the bottle and causes it to burst up and release a little carbon dioxide, and that pushes any air that's in the neck out, and then the crown goes on immediately. All the kegs get washed on the outside, and then they go into one of 4 lanes, and each lane does the exact same thing. But so first station rinses the keg cold, and then the next station flushes it with hot caustic, and the next station rinses it cold, and then the last station pressure tests the keg, pumps it up with CO2 first, and the beer comes in, and as the beer is coming in, it pushes the CO2 out, so there's no air that gets into the keg. So, and that's all happening. All 4 stations are doing the exact same thing. The net result is 300 per hour.
Thank you so much. I always wanted to know how beer was made. I love coming to the best brewery in town. Thanks for having me.
Kelsey, it was fun having you here.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you. So, free beer for life?
I don't see that happening.
I don't think so.
Prost!